the How To series, brought to you by the Women's Business Center of North Alabama.
Hi, I'm David McElhaney with Global Recruiters of Huntsville. This is an installment of the How To series for the Women's Business Center of North Alabama, and I want to talk to you about how to use your skills on LinkedIn. Again, my name is David McElhaney. I'm with Global Recruiters of Huntsville. We're a recruiting firm specializing in IT engineering, business development, sales and marketing, and cybersecurity. So as a part of our business, we have found this tool to be invaluable in not only producing candidates for us to use in our business, but also to help us find companies and solicit business out of them. As a result of that, we put together this training class to help you kind of understand the ins and outs, the do's and don'ts of LinkedIn. How many of you, a show of hands, do not have a profile? Okay, great. So everybody's got a profile. All right, so we're not really starting back at the beginning, but we'll take you through some of the components of this issue. And really, there are four aspects of what we're going to talk about tonight. The first one is being found. How do you build your profile so that the most people can see you? You can make maximum effect out of that profile. Second is finding. I'm going to show you how to do some searches, although this is not a Boolean search class, and we're not going to get into extensive searching. We're going to show you some of the basic core components of how to do those searches. The third part is networking, how to network in this organization inside of LinkedIn to, again, most benefit your activities, whether it's finding a job, finding different companies, finding friends, finding relatives, whatever the reason is, to help you be able to network inside the LinkedIn organization. And finally, the last part, which may be the most important part, is the admin part, the little do's and don'ts, the tricks about how to set up your back channel in the LinkedIn system. And so we'll walk you through some of those components. As you all know from being on LinkedIn, this is your home page. And what we're going to do is we're going to work across the upper toolbar and go through some of those activities in there. When you come onto the home page, this bar up here, of course, is a share and update. That's a current panel. In case you all aren't using that, that's a current panel for you to send out an announcement. So as an example, what I do is when I get a new job, I'll go in there and I'll post, Global Recruiters of Huntsville has just posted a new job for an electrical engineer or whatever it is. And where that goes then is when you send it, when you hit the send button, you can do a couple of different things. You can simply click on the screen and type your message in there and then send it, share it. You can also click on the little bluebird here, and in case you don't know what that little bluebird is, that's Twitter. So you can send your message out in a tweet as well to your connections. So if you're going to do that, obviously you got to remember to keep it in the 140 character size so that the full message will go out in a tweet. I don't use that very often because usually my messages are longer than 140 characters, but sometimes it's a good tool to be able to reach out to people. Now, when you send this message, it goes out to your direct contacts, okay, and that's all. So if you've only got 25 contacts, those are the only people that are going to see that. And that is these feeds that you see right here. These are those feeds that somebody like Elizabeth typed something up here and actually she was connected to somebody. This was connection, this is connection. Let me see if I can scroll down and find something that's other than a connection. Okay, like for instance here, this Alabama Jobs, this was a job that was posted, and because I'm connected with those people, that went out in the system. But again, it only goes to the people you're connected to. As you can see right here, I'm connected to 2,400 people. So in my case, when I send that out, it goes out to a lot of people. That's the reason you want to build your network. One of the reasons why you want to build your network. The more people you have in your direct contact, the more people that initial message goes out to. Okay, and so we'll talk about that and why that's important in a few minutes. But I wanted to share with that before we go off of the main page. Now we're going to go off of the main page. I'm going to take you over here to my profile. So go over here and we'll go down here and we'll click on Edit Profile. Now this is where you're going to go to work on your profile. How many don't have a completed profile? Oh, okay. All right. Well, most of you do. Okay. Well, as you know, when you're building your profile, you have this little profile bar here, And this is like any software you've loaded. You know, when you load a new software, it says it's 5%, 6%, 7%, and so on. As you build your profile, this bar will fill and it'll tell you what you need to do. Like maybe you're at 50%, it'll say you need to add this and that and the other. And then when you get out to about 85%, it will tell you you need to make some connections. Okay, those are, ask for some recommendations, and we'll talk about that, but that's the only way you can get your profile complete. It's important for you to pay attention to this bar because you want to get your profile fully complete. Don't stop when you get out to towards the end of it, because you get bonus points from LinkedIn if you complete your profile. What happens is they then, once your profile is 100%, they send your profile, they open it up, and a lot more people can see it. So it's important that you finish that, and we'll talk about why how you get those last 4 segments by adding connections, and we'll talk about that in just a minute. Okay, first of all, we're going to talk about the upper section here, or this section right in here. Okay, so you want to put your name in the profile. You want to put what you do. In my case, it's Managing Partner, Global Recruiters of Huntsville. I'm in the Huntsville area, and I'm in the staffing and recruiting. Now, they're kind of particular about your name. I used to have David McElhaney, comma, Executive Recruiter. And LinkedIn goes out and they monitor their websites, and they see those on occasion. I'm probably visited more often by them than most people because I'm always in trouble with them. And so they're always looking at my profile, and they saw that and they said that I was violating the policy that you can't use any pseudonyms. So I took out the Global Recruiters of Huntsville, as you can see there. But I'm also known as Mac. A lot of my friends know me as Mac because there's always a lot of Davids in the room, and McElhaney is way too hard for most people to pronounce, so I'm called Mac a lot. So I got the bright idea. I put David, parentheses, McElhaney, and then I got pinged again because I had a pseudonym up there. So they can get picky about that, but you can pretty much put anything up there you want to until they send you an email and say fix it, and then you fix it and you're okay. But just so you understand, that's how that works and what might happen if you get pinged on that. The next most important part of this section is a photograph. You want to have a photograph up there. You will experience, if you haven't already, going on to LinkedIn, there are a lot of people that don't have a profile. Remember, this is a social media. We like to see who we're doing business with. Okay, so you want to put a professional photo up there. Okay, now I don't want to see a picture of your cat, and I don't want to see a picture of your children, or of your summer vacation or your winter vacation. And we want to see a headshot of you. So go down and get a professional shot made. It's as simple as going to Walgreens or CVS and getting a digital passport picture and load it into your computer and upload it in there. Now, one of the things that you'll want to do, and we'll talk about this in just a minute, is continually update your profile. Okay? Because when you get your profile complete, as you're building your profile, you get points for adding things to it. When you get your profile completely built, then it's more difficult to get points for upgrading your profile. Well, this is an easy way with your photograph. Change your photograph and you get credit for an upgrade in your profile, and you get more exposure. You get more points, and the points is what builds your page rank. We'll talk about that in just a minute as well. What I've done, I've actually got 6 of this same picture, and I've saved them in slightly larger pixel size. Okay, so once or twice a week, I go in and I change the picture. And just simply click on another picture. To you all looking at my profile, you won't see any different, but I changed the picture, and because it's a different pixel size, the LinkedIn system sees it as an upgrade. Okay, so I get credit for changing my profile, upgrading my profile, simply by changing the picture. So that's an easy way to, once you get your profile built out, to make those changes in order to get credit for those changes. Okay, so let's talk about that. Why do you want to get these? Why do you want to get this credit? What's this all about? It's called search engine optimization. If any of you have built a website, you know that you want to be on page 1, as an example, a Google web search or a Yahoo web search, any of the search engines. You want to be on page 1 or page 2. Worst case scenario is maybe page 3, because nobody goes beyond page 3. Okay, well, very few people, unless you're just bored, because we want instant gratification. So we want to find it mostly on the first page, find what you're looking for, and move on. So you build that page rank by adding things and building your profile and getting it complete, having lots of activity, connecting in groups. All the stuff we're going to learn about today is about building your page rank so that you can be delivered on that page one of that search, not only in Google, but also in LinkedIn as well. So that's the whole point of doing that. So we'll talk about a lot of things to do in order to increase that page rank. Okay, so then we move down to the main body of the profile. And what we have here is a current section. Okay, now in most cases, when you're looking at your individual profile or somebody's profile, they're going to have one event in here. Okay, and that's typically what their current job is. Okay, and so in my case, it's managing partner of an executive recruiter at Global Recruiters of Huntsville. Usually that's all you have. But you'll notice that I'm a board member for Smile for Troops. I'm an ambassador and an emissary and a roundtable member at the Madison-Huntsville Chamber of Commerce. If you click on the See All button, you'll see that I've got a whole host of things that I'm doing, that I'm involved in. Why is that important? The reason you want as many things in there as you're currently active in is so that people can find you in those various undertakings. Okay, so for an example, if I saw you at a national meeting or at an OSBO meeting or any of these meetings, this gives me a chance to go back and connect to you by these different organizations. And I'll show you how that works when we get into the search mode. But in the find mode, the reason you want these in here is so somebody says, I saw a recruiter at that PMI meeting. I wonder if, I don't remember his name, maybe if I can type in PMI Huntsville, Alabama, and guess what? I'm going to come up in that search because I've got all this stuff in here. So put as much as you can in here of the organizations and things that you're active in so people can find you. I get questions from college kids. I'm in a fraternity. Should I put that in there? I said, if you're an active member of the fraternity, then you should put it in there. If you're a past member, then you put it down in the past. Anything that is going to help give you accessibility on the system and have people find you, if it's important for them to be able to find you in that particular activities you're doing, then you should post it in here as a current job. And again, typically what you see on most profiles, they'll just have your current job. Okay, so you can add, see right here where it says add a current position. You can click on this and it'll open another, it'll load a screen that will allow you now to put in your next activity. It's important to remember about this, and something that I found by error is that these are in chronological order. Okay, so you're typically, when that screen asks you, are you currently involved in it, and you say yes, it's going to ask you for the date you started. If you're not currently involved in it, then it's going to drop it down in the past. So you're going to have to click on that. It says that you're currently involved in it and put a start date in it. So that's what I did. And I put all these things in there. Well, guess what? I was a managing partner at Global Recruiters of Huntsville before I did any of these things. So my main job went all the way to the bottom. I said, well, I don't want that. I want my job, prominent job, to be up there posted. Well, what I discovered is these are all, because they're all date related, I can go in there and change those start dates just by a month and move these things up and down. So you can play with this, figure out which jobs you want posted first, make those your newest jobs, and then move these in chronological order. Okay, so you just go in and play with that. But again, let me go to the open screen, add a current, and you'll see that right here it says time period. You click on I currently work here, and then you'll put in here a start date, okay, month and year. And so then once you save that, it will, according to that date that you put in there, it will put it in this list in that date range. So then you'll have to flip that range around to adjust those things, and you can go in and you can put these in any order you want just simply by changing that date. Okay, here's another quick tip. By changing these dates and moving a couple of these things around, you get credit for an update. Okay, so again, what I do on a almost weekly basis, I'll go in and I leave these top 4 or 5 that are my most important ones that I want up there. I'll leave those alone. I'll come down here to these bottom few and I'll flip the dates around. So I move a couple, 3 or 4 of these around, and boom, I get credit for an update. Okay. So another quick way to get credit for that and move through your updates. So think about the things you're involved in. Again, is it important for people to be able to find you in that that activity when they're looking for you, or when you're trying to connect with people maybe inside those organizations? Okay. What you ask about is, what about gaps in any activities? Remember that these type of things are typically not resume related stuff. These are groups, organizations, things you're involved in, not really resume search. And in fact, I had a lady that is in an HR capacity in a local company, and she questioned me about this one time. She said, "Hey, you know, you're telling people to change these dates and things. We go and look at people's LinkedIn profiles to kind of verify resume stuff." Well, and that was my point to her. This stuff is not resume related stuff. These are groups, organizations. If these show up on your resume anywhere at all, it's down at the bottom in organizations that you belong to, kind of an extra category on your resume. So don't worry about this stuff. This doesn't have to be in chronological order, and you don't have to worry about any gaps in that part of it. So that's the first part, is your current activity. The next part of the profile is important, and that is your past activities. And this is resume related, okay, because these are things that would come straight off of your resume. And in fact, it's really easy to capture a lot of stuff in your resume simply from here and post it into the system by using it, cut and paste off your resume. And this always reminds me, when we get to cut and paste, that the profile building section of LinkedIn does not have a spell check in it. Okay, and when you look at people's profiles, you'll see horrendous spellings in their profiles, because we're all used to that little red line that shows up under our misspelled words, and we don't think about spelling anymore. No red lines show up, so people don't catch their mistakes. So build your profile in a word processing document, Word or WordPerfect, whatever, spell check it, and then cut it and paste it into here. So we're going to build our past. We're going to get all that set. We're going to load all the things in that we do. And you notice that I've even got some old groups that I used to be in up there as well. Again, simply because these are search items that you want. If somebody knew that there used to be a recruiter in the Madison Chamber, they can go in and Google Madison Chamber, and I'm going to come up on that list because I used to be a member in it, and I've got it in my profile. Remember, what LinkedIn is going to do is going to word search my profile, so it sees Madison County Chamber or Madison City Chamber. I'm going to be in that list. Okay, and then of course all these are my past jobs and activities. How much do you want to put in there is always a question I get. How far back do I need to go in my career? That's a question you have to figure out for yourself. How far back is it important? You notice that I've got back here that I was a firefighter at Orlando Fire Department. That was in 1973 to 1976. Okay, so that was a long time ago. Why would I have that in there? Simply because I want to make it, because of my business as a recruiter, I want to make it as easy as possible for anybody that I've ever known or done business with to find me. You say, well, how valuable can it be, a 1973 connection? I'll tell you how valuable it is. When I posted this up there, I had a couple of old firefighter friends reach out to me and reconnect with me. One of them, we got to conversing back and forth. He says, "Hey, I see you're a recruiter. What do you recruit in?" That's engineering, IT, yada yada. He says, "Oh, that's perfect. My daughter is in the IT world, and she needs a new job. I placed her in a job from a contact I had from 1973. So it can be invaluable even all the way back to there. So my answer to that is post everything you can in there in order for you to be found. The more you have in there, the better chance you have of people finding you. So we post that, and then we come down here and you see that I've got 14 recommendations and I've got 500 plus connections. Well, as you remember from the front screen, I've really got 2,400 connections. LinkedIn only posts 500 plus because they don't want, they made a decision early on that they didn't want this to become a I got more than you kind of contest. You know, my gun's bigger than your gun, my car runs faster than your car kind of thing that, you know, mostly we boys play in that arena, but you know, so they didn't want that to occur. So they only show 500 plus. They don't show the total number you have. And we'll talk about why that's important in a few minutes. And then we have 3 links here. You can see we've got Global Recruiters of Huntsville, we've got GRN Job Board, and we've got GRN Blog. LinkedIn gives you 3 different web addresses that you can utilize. Okay, so for those of you that have a website, have a company website, you can put that in line 1. Then line 2, maybe go to a second page in your website. Line 3, maybe go to a third page. So in my case, I've got Global Recruiters of Huntsville or Global Recruiters of HSV, because the line's not big enough to take the whole name. But if you click on this, you go directly into our website. If you click on this second page, it takes you inside our website, but it takes you to our job board page. You want to utilize all 3 of these if possible. So if you got a website with multiple pages, use one for page 1, one for page 2, one for page 3, and you got all 3 covered, because you get, again, extra points from LinkedIn for using all 3 websites. And when you go into this section, you can actually change it so that it shows you this information. I'll go up here and I'll click on this so that you can see this. Normally, this is down here on, like, say, for instance, company website, okay, and that's what you'll see. So typically it'll say company website, and it'll have your website address. Clicking on this down button, it opens up this website. If you go down here to other, it opens up that title. So now you can put the title of your company. Remember, I had Global Recruiters HSV in here, and that allows you to spell out what the title is rather than just say company website. You can actually show the name of the website. By the way, this came courtesy of Chris Gaddis. We were talking one day, and I didn't even know about it. He showed me how to put this title in there. Later, I learned from a class that I took on LinkedIn, that if you use all 3, you get extra points. Nowhere in the setup does it ever talk about utilizing all 3. And if I hadn't taken that class from LinkedIn, I would never have known that you wanted to use all 3. So there's an extra little bonus for you. Now we move down a little bit further on my page. You can see that I've also got my Twitter address set here. So if you've got a Twitter address, you can link that to your website as well. And that way, when you go up to the main screen where we were before and click on the little bluebird, you can send messages to your Twitter account. All right, so let's move on down. Then the next important thing is the summary. Okay, so you see this summary section, and that's typically is something, your entry statement out of your resume, as an example, is a good thing to post there. In my case, I'm talking about Global Recruiters. Find your executive recruiter at Global Recruiters Huntsville. Our focus is executive recruiting, placement, retain, search, yada, yada, yada. Now you'll notice that at the end of this paragraph, it says, reach me at dmcilhaney@grnhuntsville.com or at www.grnhuntsville.com or at 256-533-1444 or my cell phone number, and you can also visit me in my blog. Why do I have that in there? That's not something that you typically see. If you go back, if you look at 99% of the profiles you look at, there will be no direct contact information in anybody's profile. And that baffles me, why people don't put their direct contact information in there. In my case, I want you to be able to find me as easily as possible. So I don't want you to have to send me a message to connect with me, or send me an email message, or reach out to a friend of a friend, a connection to get to me. I want you to be able to pick up the phone and call me immediately, or go onto my website immediately. So I recommend to everybody that you put your contact information in this section so it can be found. So when if I'm looking for your resume, or I'm looking for your profile and I think, wow, this is somebody I can place, I got to wait till I connect with you before we can communicate. If you had your phone number there, I could pick up the phone and say, hey, Betty, I got an opportunity for you. Okay? So I recommend that you always put your contact information in there. Ladies, you have to judge the value of that exposure. Remember that LinkedIn is about being exposed. It's about people finding you. So, if you have reservations about that, then let that be your guide. But in my estimation, the easier it is for somebody to find you, communicate with you, the better this tool works for you. Okay? Now, the next thing that's critical is that you'll notice that I have this in every section. Okay? So I'm skipping down. This is my next section. It talks about my managing partner at Global Recruiters of Huntsville. Reach me at Global Recruiters of Huntsville. I'm in a Smile for Troops. I'm also an executive recruiter. You reach me at. I'm an ambassador in a chamber, but reach me at Global Recruiters of Huntsville. I was in the Focus 24, but reach me at. Got the point? I want this, no matter where somebody, whatever catches somebody's attention. If somebody sees this and says, oh man, this guy is part of the security association. Oh, here's how I get a hold of him. I want this as visible as can be in every aspect so that whatever place catches somebody's attention, they see my contact information, okay? Okay, now, so back up to the main section of your profile, which is this summary section. You notice this section here called Specialties. Think about this as a Google search, okay? What words are people going to look for you or your company, okay? So in my case, you can see executive recruiter, executive search, medical executive recruiter, sales executive recruiter, marketing executive recruiter, engineering executive recruiter. Anybody not know what I do? Okay? Think about these as, these are Google search words. How would you search for your company or your name or your business or whatever you're doing? Think about those words and build them in the search pattern, which is the word and a comma, or the words and a comma. Those are search engine applications. Okay, so that those are words that are going to be used in search. So when people go into LinkedIn and they look for a technology recruiter, if they use those words, I'm going to come up on that list. Okay, so think about all the different combinations and build this list so that it looks like this. Okay, now I want you to capture this list of names in your mind's eye and scroll with me all the way to the bottom to this section called Interests. Does that look familiar? It should, because it's a copy and paste of that other section. Now, typically what you see in this section is golf, tennis, boating, swimming, running, your interest. That makes sense, doesn't it? Well, it doesn't make sense to LinkedIn. They should be identical. And again, only because I took the class, I know that. So Bruce, now we're up to 4 secrets. But the reason these have to be identical is when the search engines look at these 2 sections, they see continuity and they say, oh, this guy's a recruiter. If these words aren't in the exact same format, exact same order, the gears don't mesh. Okay? So make sure you build one section, copy it, and paste it to the other section so that they're exactly the same. If you change one, change the other. Okay? If you come down here and you say, oh, here's a new word, and you put it down here, and you go up to the upper section and you add it to the top, the gears don't mesh. Make sure these are exactly the same. Okay? All right, and then we've kind of talked about these positions and why you want your contact information in them, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time going through all these sections, but you can see I've got all that information. And again, just to relate back to my earlier story, if you go all the way down to the very bottom of my profile, when I was a firefighter at Orlando Fire Department from January 73 to January 76. Now I'm an executive recruiter at Global Recruiters of Huntsville, reach me at. So even that far back, we've put that tagline in there so people can find me, okay? And then there's a section for volunteers and activities and things like that. And that pretty much wraps out this section of your profile, except for where it asks for recommendations, okay? Remember that I mentioned the bar, the progress bar. When it gets to 85%, it's going to say, complete your profile by asking for recommendations, okay? And it's not going to go any further until you get 4 recommendations. You'll get 5 points for each of those last 4 areas. So that gets you to 100%. So you're going to have to get 4 recommendations. So what you're going to do is you're going to connect with people that you've done business with or people who are friends and know about you and ask them to write you a recommendation. Okay, and it's as simple as that. So you simply, once you've got your profile complete, you just come over here and click on Ask for a Recommendation. It'll open up a screen, and you'll enter the person's name, and it'll pull up their profile on LinkedIn, and it'll send them a message, hey, David McElhaney has asked you for an introduction or for a recommendation. And so you'll get that request from me, and then you write a nice glowing recommendation like, I went to David's LinkedIn class. I learned so much from him. He's such a brilliant teacher. And you send it back to me, and I look at it, and I say, it's not exactly what I wanted. I can send it back to you with some suggestions. So I can say, say this instead. David McElhaney, I went to David McElhaney's LinkedIn class. Not only is he very handsome, but he's also an excellent instructor, and blah, blah, blah. And then you say, okay, and you click on send and it comes back to me. Now I get final approval of it. I don't have to approve it. If I can just save it in my system and hold it, but if I want to approve it, I click on approve, and then it gets loaded into my system. And then when you go up to my profile in normal, remember I'm in edit right now, we'll go down to view profile. When we click on that and it goes in here, now you'll be able to come down here and see the recommendations, okay? So here's one, here's one, here's one, here's one. Those are recommendations that I've got. Now, that's easy for you to do. You only have to get 4 of them. Now, here's the trick to this. When you get a recommendation from somebody, the system's going to say, do you want to reciprocate? Resist the urge to reciprocate, okay? Because when you reciprocate, they show up on your home page. They show up right down here, okay? And so it'll say, Bruce recommends David McElhaney, and then right on top of that says David recommends Bruce, okay? And so everybody knows what happened. Resist the temptation to do that. Wait and give Bruce's recommendation tomorrow, okay? So that they're just not stacked up on it. It doesn't mean anything except that it just looks better if you're not stacked on top of each other. Just a pet peeve of mine. I wish the system didn't do that, but it does. Okay, any questions about building your profile and being found?
The Women's Business Center of North Alabama, WBCNA, is a nonprofit organization whose mission is to help women and men start and grow a business and generate economic growth for the region. This is accomplished by serving as the premier source for information and access to resources, facilitating their self-discovery and personal development, and providing a mentoring process to support, nurture, and advocate the development of their business. WBCNA's services include startup assistance and nurturing, access to reduced rate services, access to financing, networking and business matchmaking opportunities, referrals to other resources, counseling and formal mentoring, executive level coaching, and business advisory boards. Specialized services of the WBCNA include the Government Procurement Assistance Center and the Veterans Business Assistance Center. For more information about WBCNA, please visit our website, wbcna.org. Get personal, create success.